The public is conditioned to watch the skies for missiles. This is a 20th century threat model, and it is now a fatal distraction. The first strike in a systemic conflict will not be a flash of light. It will be a sudden, total, and irreversible silence. The kinetic exchange is the last phase, not the first. The primary vector is not nuclear, but neurological. Cyber warfare is documented as the first strike weapon in modern conflict protocols. But the software requires a physical target. The true target is the central nervous system of global finance and logistics, the 380 submarine fiber optic cables that carry 97% of all intercontinental data. The secondary vector is sensory deprivation. While the undersea cables are severed, a simultaneous satellite blinding protocol is executed. This is not science fiction. CSIS reports confirm adversarial capabilities designed to optically blind or disable the low Earth orbit constellations that govern GPS, financial market timing, and military command and control. This creates the blind Leviathan. A superpower, its economy strangled by asymmetric financial attacks, is now digitally deaf and orbitally blind. Its immense kinetic power remains, but it has lost all situational awareness. In this state of systemic paralysis, its only remaining protocol is launch on warning based on fragmented phantom data. The silence is the signal. This is the mathematical endpoint when economic warfare removes the brakes from escalation. The official narrative frames conflict as a choice between ideologies. This is a deliberate misdirection. For the leadership of a sanctioned state, war is not a political act. It is a solvency crisis. The primary adversary is not a foreign army, but domestic collapse. As CSIS analysis confirms, a protracted, unpopular war becomes a terminal domestic liability. When a dominant power executes economic warfare, it isn't just cutting off revenue. It is mathematically removing the target's ability to fund a conventional kinetic response. Tanks, aircraft, and troop deployments have a fixed, exorbitant cost. When your liquidity is seized and markets are closed, funding a symmetric war guarantees bankruptcy and internal revolt. It is the fastest route to insolvency. This forced insolvency compels a pivot. It is not an emotional outburst. It is a rational, balance sheet-driven decision. The objective shifts from winning a war to imposing unbearable costs on the aggressor using the only solvent tools available. This is the genesis of asymmetric escalation. These are not theoretical vectors. We see the blueprint in execution. The shadow fleet of Russian tankers operating under false names is a direct response to market exclusion. The weaponization of cyber warfare as a first strike capability is the ultimate low-cost, high-impact lever. Attacks on energy infrastructure, like those seen near Venezuela, serve as a model for engineering global price shocks. Weakness forces this pivot. It is the only move left on the board. The lethal mathematics of the 21st century are stark. Analysts at the Royal United Services Institute, RUSE, place the kinetic cost of a modern main battle tank at approximately $5 million. The FPV drone that achieves its asset liquidation costs $500. This is not a battlefield anomaly. It is a systemic financial disruption known as the democratization of violence. The capacity to project devastating kinetic force is no longer the exclusive domain of states with massive balance sheets. It has been decentralized. For an actor facing an engineered solvency crisis, through sanctions, asset seizures, or market attacks, this economic reality is not a choice. It is the only available protocol. This staggering cost asymmetry removes the brakes from escalation. It provides the economically cornered state a logical, solvent, and mathematically sound incentive to bypass conventional deterrence and move directly to an asymmetric, launch-on-warning posture. The primary strategic error is viewing the globe as a geographic map. The actual battle space is a network of economic choke points, and the conflicts are staged in designated gray zones. proxy laboratories where the conversion of economic liability into kinetic outcomes is tested and refined. These are not sovereign states in the traditional sense, they are test beds. CSS analysis identifies sanctioned states like Venezuela and Iran as primary laboratories. The economic strangulation protocol, when applied, does not lead to quiet capitulation. It forces the target's hand. Data confirms the logical response is asymmetric. We see Russia deploying a shadow fleet of tankers under false names to evade seizures and maintain liquidity, a direct reaction to economic containment. This is not defiance. It is a solvent response to an existential threat. These zones are also incubators for engineered energy shocks. An attack on Venezuela, as reports frame it, has predictable ripple effects on assets like Canadian oil, demonstrating how the system weaponizes market volatility against the dominant power's own allies. This protocol creates the perfect conditions for a weaker state to select its only remaining logical option, a cyber first strike, which Russia now classifies as the new launch-on-warning posture in modern conflict. The internal instability you see in Iran is not a random political event. It is the desired outcome of a systemic solvency crisis, creating the exact internal pressure that makes external escalation a mathematical certainty. The launch-on-warning protocol is not an act of aggression. It is a cold calculation of strategic solvency. A nuclear-armed state must guarantee it can launch its arsenal after detecting an incoming first strike, but before that strike eliminates its ability to retaliate. As analysts at Russia have detailed, it is a response mechanism designed to ensure a second strike capability, making a first strike a zero-sum proposition for any attacker. However, economic warfare has made the cyber first strike the primary asymmetric vector. As reports confirm, cyber warfare is now treated as the opening salvo in modern conflicts. A state facing economic strangulation, such as through asset seizures or the targeting of its energy trade, is mathematically incentivized to develop this low-cost, high-impact capability to bypass conventional military inferiority. This creates the fog of digital war. The adversary's cyber attack does not target the missiles, it targets the eyes. The early warning radar systems are blinded. Satellite feeds are spoofed or severed. The main screen in the command bunker flashes with digital static, then goes black. In this moment, the commander faces a catastrophic decision matrix. Is the blindness a limited cyber event, a system malfunction, or the 30-minute prelude to total kinetic annihilation? The protocol offers no room for ambiguity. To wait for confirmation is to risk the complete loss of retaliatory capacity, the ultimate national solvency crisis. According to doctrine outlined by CSIS, the system is designed to default to the worst-case scenario. Fear becomes the trigger. The commander is forced to launch not on warning, but on the absence of warning. Economic pressure creates the motive for the cyber attack. The cyber attack creates the blindness. The blindness makes the kinetic, and potentially nuclear, launch the only logical response. This is the endpoint of the escalation ladder. The protocol of economic warfare dictates a response. When assets are seized and shadow fleets are interdicted, a solvency crisis is engineered. The target state, facing systemic economic failure, is mathematically forced to respond. According to CSIS analysis, the primary vector for this response is no longer conventional military posturing. It is asymmetric and deniable. It is a cyber-first strike, designed not for annihilation, but for calibration. This is not a random act. It is a launch-on-warning signal in response to economic liability. The objective is to impose a mirror cost on the dominant power by attacking its most vulnerable high-value node, logistics and data infrastructure. The attack surface is not a carrier group. It is a port's terminal operating system. The calibration forecast. Within the next 12 months, expect a coordinated cyber event to induce a 48 to 72-hour paralysis of a Tier 1 Western container port, plausibly Houston or Rotterdam. This will not be a destructive attack. It will be a logic bomb that corrupts shipping manifests and freezes gantry crane operations. The blackout will be attribution impossible, publicly blamed on a catastrophic system update failure. It is a calibration shot, a non-kinetic strike to prove a kinetic point. Your economic war now has a physical price.